Hello everyone, today is January 24th, 2016, and this is Overgrowth Weekly 107 with Q&A number 23. My name is Lukas.
I am Max Danielson.
And I'm Anton Real. And we didn't plan that at all.
No.
Nope. What's planning good for? I don't even know. So unfortunately David isn't here today because he is not feeling well, but I think we're gonna make something good happen anyway. So yeah, advanced testing is out on Steam, I should mention first and foremost. So if you want to test out the new things that are gonna be in the next alpha, you should get on over there and check it out. So the advanced testing branch under the beta tab, if you right click Overgrowth, properties, all that stuff, you can figure it out. So let's check in what's going on with the development of the game. First up, there has been more work on global illumination. I was hoping David would be here so that he could talk about it, but there has been progress in that department, and it's gonna take a while before it's actually done. Anton, what?
Saying that I'm stuck, but I don't look stuck on my end.
Yeah, it's weird. I don't know what's going on down there, but it looks fine from my end. Sometimes. So yeah, global illumination is... Yeah?
Oh, no, I was going to ask if can we show that picture he showed us in chat this week?
I didn't see a picture in chat, so I guess I'll have to check that out.
Let me find it. Let me go grab my other computer. But keep going, keep talking.
Okay, so while he does that, there has been an Arena AI update as well. Maybe you can talk about that, Max.
Yeah.
Like what you've been working on and like what you're gonna be working on with that.
Yeah. So for the past week, I've been working on like looking at the AI and trying to polish it a bit for the Arena, because there are some like differences between how it should work for Arena and what has been necessary so far. So the one thing I guess that's worth noting is that I found the bug where the enemy sometimes runs away from you and gets stuck in a wall. And also polish some other minor things. I guess one other thing that also is relevant is that if a weapon is on a place where it's not reachable, the AI will not try to get it. It's one of those minor things that made the AI get stuck every once in a while. Like, so stuff like that, like AI getting stuck, corner cases. I'm also looking into situations where the AI is trying to go over an edge where he can't walk over it, so he gets stuck in the edge when he's trying to pathfind, and that's more of a difficult thing. But yeah, and I will continue working on AI for another week, and then switch over to something else.
Sweet. So that's going to be really nice. It's basically a thing that we're trying to focus as much as possible on working on things that are gonna actually go towards finishing the game, and we need to make sure the AI works as it should before the game can be considered.
Yeah,
finished.
It's always a continuous thing. You can always improve it slightly. It's one of those things where no matter how well it works, there's always some situation or some kind of corner case, because it's such a complex system. And
Yes.
you can always make it more realistic and fun.
So Anton sent me this image that David had posted. So let's take a look at that. I'm gonna press this button combination, and that should make things happen. Huh.
No luck?
Apparently not. No luck. I guess I'm gonna just make a new scene. Here we go. So yeah. So this is further work on the global illumination of the game then. This is a really good scene to showcase it, I think. because it
I
has
thought
a
it
lot
was-
of indirect lighting.
Yeah. Obviously, there's not a lot of local lighting in this one, but I think the bloom is a little exaggerated, or feels exaggerated. Something like it feels very strong. But I think that if you look at the way that the walls look and just the lighting in general, you can definitely see that it's improving a lot. So I'm
Yeah.
excited for this new Illumination to be finished.
And this is obviously still very much a work in progress, so it's gonna get much better as we move forward as well. He's gonna spend a few more weeks on it, at least like a month or so. I think we have planned before he's done with that. So yeah, it's gonna be really good, I think.
So I guess that's the direction that we can expect to see the visuals going in the game.
Yeah, the fidelity overall should, it should return to and surpass what it was before 2.10.
Right.
A lot of people noticed there was a significant drop in performance and in visual fidelity, and that was largely because of a lot of systems being rewritten and not fully re-implemented yet.
Right.
We're not intentionally trying to make the game uglier.
I am, but that's just because you guys haven't heard my music yet. But anyway, so I thought that was a great way to go with the Illumination.
Yeah. All right, and then we have an update on the decals and the blood. That's something that has been worked on for the past few weeks, past month or so even, and I think pretty soon, we're gonna have it so that we can have many more decals. We had it. First the update to OpenGL 3.2 broke the entire system. Like it wasn't really compatible with it. The update to OpenGL 3.2 from OpenGL, what did we have? 2.1 or something? Yeah. And so it was broken then, and then we have just been re-implementing it in a more modern way, I think. I'm not sure if that was because we needed to make it compatible, or if it's just to make it better than it was before. Do you know, Max?
Main motivation, I think, was that David wanted to modernize the rendering, and if he wanted to do something like Global Illumination, he kind of needed to move it up or make something horribly inefficient or difficult or complicated. Yeah. Also, one of the reasons he allowed himself to was because 3.2 has become kind of the normal now. Mac OS X supports it. That was the big reason why it was held back for so long. But now it's standard for Mac machine to have it.
Yeah, but it's been available on Macs from 10.6 or something. So I mean, we're already talking about something that's I don't know.
Several years
old. Yeah. So
a big jump between 2.x to 3. Shaders became the norm instead of having the fixed pipeline. It makes it basically any modern game, 3D especially, is made in 3.3, 3.2 maybe, or 4 today, if it's even in OpenGL.
So we're gonna see continuing improvements here, because I believe before we didn't have them deferred, right? They were just forward rendered as normal.
Yeah, it was forward
triangles
rendered.
Pretty much.
I think
now,
David calls it forward plus more than deferred.
But the decals themselves are deferred, I believe. That's the technique.
No,
so to speak.
I think they're drawn in the same pass. Yeah, they're drawn in the same pass as they're textured. So they aren't really deferred. Yeah.
So
we for when we're rendering objects, we have the clustering algorithm. So we loop for all decals in that cluster point that the object intersects right now, I believe, when we render the object. So it isn't in the deferred step.
I see. And the clustering is being updated as well. So the clustering algorithm that was used for like the previous alpha that we're using right now in the current alpha, I guess, it was world space based. So depending on where in the world it was, it would render the decals or like optimize what decals to render where. But now we're switching that to being screen space instead, which is going to be better optimized.
Yeah, basically less transforms are necessary in the shader. I mean that's like the main reason. You may have some minor improvements regarding precision, but yeah.
Yeah, so the difference is like we would before we would split the entire world up into squares, and then we would check like what decal is in what square, and then we would render the decal in that square if it was in it, right?
We would
like
check.
That.
Yeah, it's more like you divide up the world in squares, and then you place decals into the squares. And then when you render an object, you check what square that object is in, and they get all the decals from those squares that the object touches. And then you check where exactly that decal is rendered on the object.
Yeah.
In that square. Yeah.
So the difference is now instead of dividing up the world like that, we just take the screen itself and divide up just the screen in X, Y, and Z as well, so it has depth too. And then we put the decals in those squares instead in the screen. And then we need to do that every frame as well.
Yeah, even earlier we didn't have any kind of acceleration algorithm at all. It was just like we have one giant list of all the decals in the game. You can imagine that rather quickly that list becomes too long to handle.
That's because it used when we had it like that, it needed to see if for every decal that was in the scene, it needed to see on every pixel if that decal was there before it decided to render it or not. But with this, it can be like, oh, wait a second, this isn't even a square where this decal can be, so we're not even going to try to render it in the first place. And then it just moves on until it comes to a place where it could be, because in this square that I'm coming to now, somewhere in this square there's going to be a decal, so I'm going to like try and render the decal here.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. So that's why it's so much more optimized. That's where we get the gain from doing that.
Yeah, and I mean that boosts the number of decals we can support.
Yep. So hopefully pretty soon in upcoming alpha we're gonna have much more decals again, like we used to.
Yeah, and even more than we did before. Like it will scale better than it did in 209.
So the dialogue editor is also getting improved. This is a preparation step for doing campaigns and things like that. Like I think we're still wanting to do the Lugaru campaign, so we're gonna need it for that at least. And so we're making it easier to use and more like user friendly in ways like you can now scroll in the thing. You can scroll further down, like you don't have only like 50 or 45 lines or whatever it was. You can actually go beyond that if you have more lines. We also are making it so that you can edit the lines inside, so you don't have to edit them in an external program. You can just add a line and add dialogue and everything in there without having to do any external editing, as well as make new files from within the editor as well. So we're just making it so that you never have to go out of the editor to do anything. Because it's such a simple editing, you don't really need a fancy text editor for it anyway, because you're just going to write like what the line is going to say and who's going to say it, things like that. You don't need to be able to, I don't know, what things do you do in a text editor, like
mark
flip lines
segments,
and mark stuff and like copy paste from different things and undo and redo. You don't need to do that. So we have a pretty simple system that allows you to do what you need to do without having to like jump out of the game all the time. So that should be pretty cool too and be upcoming before long. And then we have some concept art for the arena player characters. So for the arena, there is going to be different sort of campaigns inside of the arena is the thought. So you will start out as some sort of slave character maybe, and then once you finish that campaign you unlock another character, and then you play that campaign and you have different things that can happen when you play it. Like as a slave you don't have anything, you can't decide what you want to do and things like that, but when you play the next campaign where you're not a slave, you're actually just a free person you get to decide where to go maybe and have different types of choices to make. And so we need to have characters that the player is going to play. So Steve has been working on making concept art for that. So we have here concept art for, I think I have that there. Here we go. No, I don't remember what was written about this. Was this for the... I think this was for the... for the normal arena fighter, was it?
Yeah, I think it was fighter concepts.
Yeah.
Yeah. That sounds right.
So, step 2 out of 3. Right now we're thinking of having 3 basic steps in it, like the first slave step, and then normal arena fighter, and then a contender for the championship title. And this is the center one, where you're basically a normal person, or whatever you want to call it, I suppose.
Yeah, combatants that are willingly fighting in the arena, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or maybe not willingly necessarily, but at least anyone can go there and be like, I want to fight in the arena and try to make money or whatever.
Yeah.
There's always shady stuff going on. Always. So yeah, that's some of the concept art. There's more being made for all the other characters, and that was like 3 suggestions. We're gonna take one of them, I guess, and go with it for the actual final character. So very exciting stuff.
Yep.
And Micah has been working on the arena mode. So he has been working on the actual user interface things for now, because we're going to have a lot of user interface things going on. And since we're going to be remaking that a lot, like we're going to want to be iterating on that, he has been working on a system to make it much easier to make user interfaces for the game. So that's going to be very useful. And he has hooked up just the basic stuff for this alpha. So it's not anything fancy really. He has made it so that you get back to like some previous status screen after each fight, and then you can press continue to load the next fight. And that's basically it right now, but we're gonna of course we're gonna add the actual stuff that we're gonna have in there as well. So it's basically like a placeholder thing to see if everything works, so people can try it out. So let us know if everything is working as intended. After you win or lose a fight, you're supposed to be thrown out to the screen where it says how much fame you have, I think, and then you can keep playing or start a new campaign or something like that.
And it also gives you the option to save or come back or something too, right? If you want to, I don't know if it has it yet, but I know that that's what he was talking about, adding to that menu.
Yeah, we're definitely going to have more stuff in there. This is just like a first version. I don't know if that stuff is in there. When I checked it out, there were a bunch of graphical bugs in Windows that we're obviously going to sort out before we release it. But yeah,
I haven't even looked at it yet, unfortunately.
That's what the release candidates are for, I guess.
Yep.
So let's jump into the community questions then. Let's see.
I have one thing to add before we do that. I was going to say that I have changed it, or I have added so that mod folders can now be placed in the right directory for the game. The reason being that the folder for the game itself can be can be changed or overwritten more safely without worrying about mods getting lost. So I don't know if that will have any great impacts right now, but in the long run it might be relevant. So in the same place in your data folder under your local right directory where everything cached and log files go, you can make a mods file folder just like in the normal data directory and put mods in, and the game will find them there.
Sweet.
Yeah.
So yeah, with that, let's jump into the community questions. We have a question by Denz, who asks, when is the estimated time you believe Overgrowth will come out of alpha state? or a time where much more has changed in terms of practically everything. My thoughts on this is that it's very hard to define what is alpha, basically. Like, it's really hard to say. I don't know what we define as being in alpha and what would define B as being in beta. I guess the classical definition is when you have all the features in there, you go out of alpha, and then when you've fixed all the bugs, you release the thing, right? So technically, we would have to have all the features that we intend to have in the game, and that would be the end of the alpha state, and we would enter the beta state, where we just fix the bugs and make it even better, just iterate on it until we actually release it.
I could almost see it potentially being, in our case, having a really solid vertical slice and then filling out content as well as bugs after that as well.
Yeah.
Could be a way that we look at it. And we really are focused on getting that vertical slice working right now. So, but timeline wise, it feels like it's definitely been moved forward compared to a few months ago. With the new team, it's moving faster. I think that's the main thing we can say, is that we're getting a lot more done. A lot more optimization is happening now at the same time as features are being added as well as bugs being fixed. So it's really everything is being improved at the moment, and a lot of it is back end things right now. But we should see that leads to faster content creation moving forward.
Yes.
Aren't we also in the process of trying to strictly define what the end goal is and what steps are in between?
Yes, we're working on a more rigorous long-term planning thing, and it's not entirely done yet, but from what it says, like the other thing that's makes it hard to define exactly when we're going to enter beta is we have different parts of the game that we're going to finish at different times. So the arena is the first thing we do, and that's going to enter maybe what would be considered beta, but then we still haven't really started actually doing the Lugaru campaign thing, and we haven't started on the official Overgrowth campaign and things like that. So part of the game will be more finished than other parts of the game. And if you're thinking like that, yeah, the arena is maybe going to enter, like, be actually like a playable thing, so it could be in beta maybe in a couple of months or something. But the entire game itself, if you want to have all the things in there, it's probably going to be, I mean, if we're going to guess, I would guess like maybe half a year to a year, somewhere around there. That would be my personal guess.
Yeah.
Right. And at least having, go ahead.
Sorry, I was just saying that I think largely the basis for the game is pretty much where it's supposed to be. It's just expanding on it now in like more horizontal way, right? Basic engine, combat is defined, and the style is defined.
Although that stuff is not entirely complete either. Like, we're still missing a few essential things for combat, for instance, that we need to add in there. But that's exactly what we're working on doing, is just making the game actually finished, adding all the stuff that needs to be added, and then making it so we can make the actual game parts of the game, like tying everything together, make it into an experience.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Shall we move on to the next one?
Yeah, the Mobius is a chat question. He's wondering if like, it seems to be very technical so far. Will we have a backstory mission-based phase at any stage, or is it already going on in the background? And I mean, there is some development right now on the backstory, and like not mission-based missions so far, but like content-wise, we are working on that as well as working on technical aspects. We have people dedicated to that.
Yep. And I think that is one of the specifics of the backstory. We know for sure that the things that have happened in the comics that Aubrey drew are, at least they're considered canon. So those things have been, that they officially happened somewhere in the history of the islands where Lugaru is, and that the real question I think will be how much of this backstory will actually be, will play an important role on the game or not. But we have someone who's coming up with very detailed story arcs, which is it's been interesting to me reading, but I don't know if it really makes sense to release all of that, because I don't know how much of that will play a role in what makes it into the game and what actually makes the game a more enjoyable state. Like, I think it's information that will be released eventually, but
maybe. I'm not sure. I think most of that stuff is mostly to help us make the game. That's how I feel about it anyway. Because most games don't really just like release lore about them. Most games just feel like they have a rich world, and that is because there has been a lot of work done to make it feel like that, and because it is a rich world, but it doesn't really add to the game to know all the things about it. You know what I mean? And just
it's very useful.
That depends who you ask.
Yeah, for the team, it's a very good normalizing force. It makes everybody work towards the same object if you are all read up and have the same lore in mind when you work. It affects every aspect of the game.
It's very useful. So like, so we have one person who's working on the world building things, and things that he does is like define locations and things that happen in these locations and things like that. So that if you want to make something, you know that this is a place that exists, this is the type of place it is, and you can more easily build something around it, or like take a character from it that actually was made to exist there and make it into a thing that's in the game or something like that. So it's giving us a world to actually do something with, I suppose.
Yeah.
And then we're gonna make stories out of that, hopefully.
We are going to make stories out of that. There's no question about it.
Denz also asks, what genre of game are you planning to mold Overgrowth into?
We are our own thing now, but I mean, like, genres are something you invent afterwards to categorize things that exist. I don't think it's a good idea to build a game to try to fit to a specific genre.
Yeah. Unless you're Call of Duty.
Unless you're Call of, I mean, unless you're a AAA game that's trying to cater to an existing customer base. But I mean, that's a completely different problem, because they need a giant market share to be able to cover their costs. We're smaller, we don't, so we can be a little bit more original. So I don't hate Call of Duty for what it's doing. It has its place, I guess. Of course.
But if we were to give Overgrowth a genre, what would it be?
It's a good question. I think platformer is one aspect you could definitely put it into. Another is like third-person combat, maybe fighting, melee,
like action.
Yeah, action, adventure.
I think what we'll stay away from. I think we'll stay away from RPG elements, even though a lot of people think that it could fit in the game. I think that it's going to focus on.
Did he cut out there?
Seems like it.
In that sense, it feels like the game is a third-person parkour combat game. And,
You cut out for a bit there. You said you were going to focus on P, and I'm assuming you were going to say parkour after that.
I definitely heard the parkour on my side of things.
Yeah.
So what did you say after that? Do you want to say it again?
I don't. You guys were gone on my end too.
Okay.
I heard parkour on my end. That's all I said.
Okay, good. But yeah, what was the genre you said? Parkour
I said
fighting game.
I just said third person parkour combat, and I feel like that incorporates the combat and the platforming elements.
Yeah,
So
I could live with that genre.
because I feel like platforming in and of itself is not particularly, like, I don't feel like it's a challenge to jump from place to place in Overgrowth, but it is a challenge to parkour from place to place. So, I don't feel like there's going to be goals of like, jump this many platforms. It's going to be, what's the coolest way you can get to the top of this mountain? And here's 17 possibilities. Find the 18th, So
definitely the mobility in the game is one of the aspects that makes it very engaging.
Right. From
I
someone
feel
who
like
didn't develop it. It was fun. It's just fun to run around. Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So what were you going to say, Lucas?
It's really, I feel like it's sort of an annoying discussion, the discussion about genres, because it doesn't really, a lot of the time it doesn't really say much about a game. Like it doesn't say much about a game, and so why do you actually need them, sort of? Does that make sense?
Sure.
Because you could be like, yeah, it's that, like, it's an action platformer thing, or you could just like tell someone what you do in the game. You run around, fight stuff, and you jump around, and it's basically the same thing, or show a video or something. Because there are a lot of like things that have the same name out there, and it's really hard to, like, how do you define what is the genre and things like that? Like, why does third person need to be in there, for instance? Like, isn't that like just like first person, but the camera is further back? And like, why does that make a difference in the game if it's first or third person? Things like that. It gets really complicated to like motivate all of these different things and try to like come to some sort of standard on how to judge things. Like the trouble that we have with Portal, and Portal being a puzzle game, for instance. It's
but that's what
it's like Match 3 and Portal is the same type of game. It's like both puzzle games, but very, 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 very different.
Gaming genres too are, like the gaming field is very young, right? So genres change meaning with time, and it is more about given a set of games, you want to categorize them. It's like a human trait. We just want to put things in different boxes, so that we can simplify and abstract concepts into single words. And that's what I meant with, we don't try to live up to some kind of existing concept of what a different genre is. We're just trying to build this game, and what genres it will have is probably best described by someone who looks back at it to compare it, and not by us. Like, we shouldn't even. I mean, we're limiting ourselves by trying to ensure that we fit into an existing genre.
Exactly, I totally agree. And with that, I think we're going to stop right there. Unless you have anything else you want to cover that you saw in the chat. Are you good, Anton?
Stop labeling me. Yes, I'm good.
Whoa. Whoa.
Yeah, no, I'm good.
Good.
I'm good.
All right, so yeah, as usual, OG Weekly on Twitter and on YouTube, as well as ogweekly.com, where you can see all the shows, the previous ones. So thank you very much for tuning in. Make sure to check out that advanced testing on Steam if you want to see all the new things. And we will see you again in 2 weeks.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Hey, guys.